Unprecedented protests in Sri Lanka. Calm seems to have returned in the streets of the capital Colombo, but the protesters are refusing to move out of the residence. After storming the colonial-era presidential palace, the protesters lounged in its opulent rooms, diving into the compound's pool, having lunch in the kitchen and going through Rajapaksa's clothes. But in comparison to yesterday's storm, today's scenario inside the president's palace is much more calm. Protesters are still inside the president's residence. Food and water were also distributed inside the palace. Families were seen having lunch inside the compound. Some took selfies on the grand interiors, and some were enjoying the comfortable beds, a striking contrast to the misery many have endured since the start of the crisis. Hundreds of thousands have gathered in Colombo demanding Rajapaksa to take responsibility for shortages of medicine, food and fuel. The Rajapaksas have brought the once relatively rich economy to its knees and caused misery for ordinary citizens. On Saturday, the security forces tried to hold the crowd by all means by firing tear gas to open fire in the air. They provided an escape window to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa as he fled his residence, and then boarded a naval craft which steamed away from the island to the safety. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Rohana Hetiarachi. He is the Executive Director of People Action for Free and Fair Elections in Sri Lanka. Rohana, welcome to WION.
Hi, Eric. Yeah.
Now, calm has returned. The 73-year-old beleaguered president is expected to quit this Wednesday. The Prime Minister has offered to resign. The president is planning to supervise the handover of power. How do you predict this transition of power to be, and what should the world look out for when that happens?
Well, now the President and the Prime Minister has given the signal through the Speaker of the Parliament that both of them are resigned. But we are waiting to get the President's letter of resignation. So we hope, as he promised, he will resign. Then the political parties who are representing in the Parliament, including the opposition leader, now that is their turn and that is their responsibility to establish the national unity government. Especially the biggest issue here in the public's trust about the politicians, not only the ruling party, including the opposition party, all the parliamentarians has to build the trust with the citizens of this country. So the biggest challenge for the opposition party and all the parliamentarians, how they are going to build that trust among the public with the new government. So we hope that they will establish national unity government rather than getting power on their hand party by party. But we have to have a national unity government, otherwise you can't run this country.
President, or the current president, has said that he will oversee this transition. Do you think that transition will be smooth?
Well, we had in the previous occasions, in some of these elections also, we had a similar situations. But all the elections, after the elections, we had a very smooth transition. So we hope whatever promise the President and the Prime Minister, I think they will follow their promises, because the pressure from the citizens of this country, especially the youth group, is mounting day by day. So they don't have any other options. They have to respect the people's view. And I believe the both of them, they will follow their word. They come up through the Speaker of the Parliament.
Rohana, stay with me because I want your inputs following this next report, and also we can talk about the political situation in Sri Lanka. So stay with me. Now, last night, Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's house was set on fire by protesters. This was after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled from his residence, and protesters overran the presidential palace earlier in the day. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was not at home when the protesters torched it. He had earlier been moved to a secure location. The Prime Minister's office had said that he was willing to resign and put an all-party government in place. This was not enough to placate the crowds who set Wickremesinghe's private residence ablaze. The house was located in a posh neighborhood in Colombo. Now it is a bunch of charred ruins. These visuals show what it looked like both before and after the fire. Well, Rohana, the Executive Director of People Action for Free and Fair Elections in Sri Lanka, is still with us. Thank you very much for staying on. Rebuilding Sri Lanka will obviously take months, if not years. But what should be the top focus of the new government when it takes charge?
I think the first thing is the government has to be in the national unity government. All the political parties who are representing in the parliament has to take part of the new government. So that is number one. I mean, rather than just establishing the government doesn't work here with this present crisis. So it has to be national unity government with all the party involvement. That's number one. Number two, they need to address the immediate need. As you mentioned from the beginning, the fuel is a big issue in this country because it will affect each and every sectors in the country. So the fuel and gasoline and the medicine and food. So that will be the main issues next couple of months period in this country. So they should prioritize how they are going to do that. And number three, we have to have a roadmap to address the economic crisis, because I think the economic crisis is so big here, it's a very critical here, and there is so far there was no proper roadmap as given by the previous government. Even the opposition parties, we know that they get together and they had so many consultation and discussions, but unfortunately so far even the opposition party did not come up with the proper plan, proper roadmap for the how they are going to address the economic crisis. So that will be the number three. And number four, we have to have a new constitutional amendment, which was talked about 22nd amendment. We are looking for some governance structure in this the existing constituency. Because you know with the previous regime we had a 20th amendment, all the powers vested with the president. Now we all are appealing the existing parliament and the government to reverse it. It has to be check and balance system, the president and prime minister, because there is no power balance in this the existing legal framework. So that will be the next step after addressing the economics and immediate need. So they have to address these governance issues as well.
All right, we'll have to end it there. I've been talking to Rohana Hettiarachchi, who is the Executive Director of People Action for Free and Fair Elections in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much, sir, for making time and for talking to WION today.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.